My name is Clara Morgan. I am 30 years old. One ordinary afternoon last summer, my sister-in-law Phoebe had used a simple family barbecue to publicly declare to everyone gathered that I was the family failure who had squandered every opportunity and would never contribute anything meaningful, all while I had been silently running a successful chain of boutique wellness studios across Omaha that I kept hidden to avoid exactly this kind of judgment. Her words had cut deep, turning family conversations against me and making me question my own path for months afterward. Now, as I sat in the tense conference room of our family lawyer's office in Omaha, Nebraska, my sister-in-law leaned forward with that familiar smirk and announced that it was time for me to finally step up and liquidate my meager savings to help my brother's struggling company because real family members do not hide from responsibility. My heart raced as the past and present collided in the worst way possible. But in that moment, I felt a quiet determination rise within me. I was done being her scapegoat and ready to fight back with everything I had built. 92 words. If you've ever had an in-law who seemed to enjoy tearing you down in front of the family, let me know in the comments what you would have done in my shoes. I could really use the support right now. The lawyer, Gregory Klein, cleared his throat and shuffled papers across the polished table. But my sister-in-law did not wait for him to speak. She turned her sharp gaze straight at me, her voice dripping with that familiar mix of concern and contempt. Clara, we all know you have been playing around with your little wellness side projects for years now. It is cute, really, but this is serious. My brother Hudson's construction firm is on the verge of folding after 11 months of bad contracts, and we need liquid cash fast. You are the only one not pulling real weight here, so it is time to sell whatever assets you have and contribute like the rest of us. My brother Hudson shifted in his chair beside her, but he stayed silent at first. My mother looked down at her hands, while my father stared at the wall, as if willing the moment to end. I felt the familiar knot in my stomach tighten, the same one that had formed every time my sister-in-law decided to remind everyone how little I mattered. I had heard variations of this speech for years, but today, it landed heavier because the stakes were no longer just family opinions. This was about real money and real consequences for my brother's business. My sister-in-law leaned in closer, her tone sharpening like a blade. Do not give me that look, Clara. We have all seen how you live, same old apartment, same beat-up car. You talk about independence, but we all know it is just an excuse not to help the family when it counts. My brother Hudson has a wife and responsibilities. What do you have? Some yoga classes and herbal teas. Step up or step aside. The words hit like physical blows, each one designed to remind me of my place in her eyes. I could feel my best friend, Hazel Reed, who had come as moral support after I texted her the night before, tense beside me. Hazel had warned me about my sister-in-law months earlier, but I had brushed it off as typical tension between in-laws. Now I regretted not listening sooner. My colleague and operations manager, Owen Hayes, slipped in quietly and took a seat. He had insisted on being there in case things turned legal. My sister-in-law noticed him and her eyes narrowed. Who is this? Another one of your little friends from your hobby world? This is family business, Clara. Outsiders do not belong. My father finally spoke, his voice low and careful. Phoebe, maybe we should hear what Clara has to say before we start making demands. But my sister-in-law waved him off with a dismissive laugh that echoed off the walls. Louis, with all due respect, Clara has had years to say something useful. Instead, she hides in her little bubble, while the rest of us deal with real problems. My brother Hudson's company employs 27 people. Those jobs are on the line. Clara's little side gigs do not employ anyone except herself, and maybe a part-time instructor or two. The jab landed exactly where she intended. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, not from shame this time, but from something sharper, anger that had been building since that barbecue last summer when she first planted the narrative that I was the unreliable one. Hazel squeezed my arm under the table, a silent reminder to breathe. Gregory Klein tried to steer the meeting back to the documents in front of him. The proposal on the table is for Clara to consider liquidating any personal investments to provide a bridge loan of $75,000 to my brother Hudson's firm. It is not mandatory, of course, but the family is looking for unity here. My sister-in-law cut him off before he could finish. Unity? That is exactly what I am talking about. Clara has always been the one who pulls away when things get hard. Remember when she skipped the last 3 family vacations because she was too busy with work? We all know what that really meant. She just did not want to chip in for gas or hotels like the rest of us. And now, when my brother Hudson actually needs her, she is going to sit there and pretend she has nothing to give. My phone buzzed on the table. A text from my assistant, Rachel Dunn, flashed on the screen. Emergency at the downtown location. A major influencer is here demanding a private tour and mentioning she heard rumors the owner is selling everything due to financial trouble. Clients are starting to ask questions. What do I tell them? My blood ran cold. My sister-in-law's gossip had already leaked into my professional world, threatening the very business she knew nothing about. I looked up and met her eyes directly for the first time since the meeting began. The smirk on her face told me she sensed she was winning, but she had no idea how wrong she was. As the meeting continued, my sister-in-law pressed harder, pulling out her phone and waving it like evidence. I even asked around the community last week. Several people at the country club mentioned they had heard you were struggling financially. Word travels fast in Omaha, Clara. You cannot hide forever. It is embarrassing for all of us when family members look like they are barely scraping by. That was the moment the first real crack appeared in my control. My sister-in-law had not just insulted me privately, she had been actively spreading rumors in social circles, damaging the reputation I had carefully built for my studios without anyone knowing they were mine. Clients had mentioned hearing odd comments about the owner who keeps a low profile because of money issues. And now it made sense. My sister-in-law had been the source. Hazel could not stay silent any longer. Phoebe, that is not fair. You have no idea what Clara has been dealing with. My sister-in-law turned her venom on Hazel next. Stay out of it, Hazel. This is Morgan family business. Clara's little friends do not get a vote. The room grew thicker with tension. Owen caught my eye across the table and gave the slightest nod. He had brought a folder with summary financials from our holding company. But I was not ready to reveal everything yet. I needed to see how far my sister-in-law would push before I flipped the script. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Rachel Dunn. 2 more longtime clients just canceled their memberships after hearing the rumors about the owner's financial troubles. They are asking if the business is failing like your sister-in-law claimed at the country club last week. My hands started to tremble slightly under the table as the reality sank in deeper. My sister-in-law's gossip had not only reached my hidden business empire, but was actively costing me real revenue and client trust right in the middle of this meeting. My sister-in-law noticed my distraction and pounced immediately. See what I mean? Even now, she is glued to that phone instead of focusing on real family problems. My brother Hudson's company employs 27 people who could lose their jobs if we do not act fast. Those are actual livelihoods. Clara, not whatever pretend career you have been playing at for the last few years. We all know you live in that same small apartment and drive the same old car. Stop pretending you have nothing to give and step up like the rest of us have been doing. My father, Louis, suddenly straightened in his chair, his face showing a flash of genuine shock that quickly hardened into visible irritation. He cleared his throat loudly enough to cut through the silence. Phoebe, that is enough for now. Clara deserves a chance to speak without being attacked like this in front of everyone. It was the first time my father had pushed back against my sister-in-law so directly in a family meeting, and the room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her reaction. My sister-in-law was not deterred in the slightest. She turned her sharp gaze on him for a split second, her voice laced with that familiar mix of fake sweetness and underlying contempt. Louis, with all due respect, someone has to say the hard truths here. Clara has been coasting for years, while my brother Hudson builds something real with his construction firm. If she has any savings at all from her little side projects, It is time to use them for the family instead of hiding them away. Then she swung right back to me, her tone sharpening further. Or is there something you are not telling us, Clara? Because the way you are acting right now, checking your phone and avoiding eye contact, it almost seems like you are hiding more than just a few yoga classes and herbal remedies. Owen took that moment to speak up calmly but firmly. Actually, there might be some important context here that could change how we look at this situation. He slid a single sheet of paper across the table toward Gregory Klein. These are public records from the last 11 months, showing several key business decisions at my brother Hudson's firm that appeared to have been influenced by outside advice. Advice that came directly from my sister-in-law Phoebe herself, including pushing for those high-risk contracts that led to the current cash flow problems. The room went completely still. My sister-in-law's face flickered with something close to panic before she masked it with her usual sharp laugh. Oh, please, Owen, whoever you are. This is a family matter, and outsiders like you have no business digging into private affairs. Clara's friend here is just trying to deflect from the real issue, which is her refusal to contribute when it matters most. Gregory Klein reviewed the document quickly, his eyebrows rising. This does raise some questions about how the loan collateral was presented to the bank earlier. The irregularities they mentioned on the call could be connected to these decisions. My sister-in-law cut him off before he could finish, turning her full attention back to me with renewed venom. This is exactly what I was talking about, Clara. You bring your little support team in here to smear my name instead of helping your own brother. My brother Hudson and I have been carrying this family through tough times, while you hide behind your Independence Act. If you have any real assets at all from those wellness studios you keep so quiet about, now is the time to prove you are not just dead weight. Another text from Rachel Dunn came through right then, the vibration cutting through the tension like a warning bell. The influencer is live on social media right now, mentioning the country club rumors by name and tagging the downtown studio location. We are seeing a spike in cancellation requests already. 3 more members just reached out asking if the owner is selling due to money problems. My stomach twisted harder. The damage was spreading faster than I could contain it, and my sister-in-law had no idea she was attacking the very empire that could solve my brother Hudson's problems 10 times over without breaking a sweat. Hazel could not hold back any longer. Phoebe, this has gone too far. You have been spreading these stories about Clara for months, and now it is hurting her actual livelihood. You do not get to play the victim when the consequences come back around. My sister-in-law shot her a withering look. Stay out of Morgan family business, Hazel. Clara's little friends do not get to lecture anyone here about responsibility. If she had been honest from the start, instead of pretending to scrape by, we would not be in this mess. My father finally spoke again, his voice low but firm, with that visible quiet anger now clear on his face. Phoebe, I think we all need to take a step back before this gets any worse. Accusations are flying that do not need to be here. But my sister-in-law ignored him completely and leaned even closer to me across the table. Decide right now, Clara. Are you going to liquidate whatever you have and transfer $75,000 to help my brother Hudson? Or are you going to keep hiding and let his entire company collapse? Because if you choose the second option, everyone in this family will know exactly where your loyalties really lie. The pressure in the room felt suffocating, like a ticking time bomb ready to explode. Owen caught my eye again and gave a subtle nod toward his folder, which contained the full portfolio summary of my 12 studios and their steady growth. I knew the moment to reveal everything was approaching, but I needed to time it perfectly so my sister-in-law could not twist the narrative one more time. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, my phone rang loudly on the table. Rachel Dunn's name flashed on the screen. I answered it on speaker without thinking, and her voice came through tense and urgent. Clara, the influencer, just posted a video claiming she heard directly from your sister-in-law that the owner has been financially irresponsible for years and is about to lose everything. We have already lost 8 memberships in the last hour, and 2 vendors are calling to confirm if payments will still go through next month. My sister-in-law's face went pale for a split second before she recovered with another cutting jab directed straight at me. See, even your own employees are confirming how unstable your little operation really is. This is why you need to stop playing games and do what is right for the family for once. The call ended, but the damage from her words hung heavy in the air. My father looked like he was about to interrupt again, his jaw clenched tight, while my mother finally whispered something under her breath that sounded like a plea for calm. Hazel and Owen both watched me closely, waiting for my lead. The bank issue, the leaked rumors, and my sister-in-law's escalating demands had created a perfect storm, and I could feel the moment of truth barreling toward us faster than anyone realized. I held up my phone, the screenshot from the unknown number lighting up the conference room as I slid it across the table toward Gregory Klein. My sister-in-law's private messages to the influencer stared back at everyone time-stamped from 2 days earlier, where she had explicitly fed the rumors about my supposed financial irresponsibility to create exactly the pressure she was applying right now. The proof sat there undeniable, and the silence that followed felt heavier than any demand she had thrown at me all afternoon. My sister-in-law recovered first, of course her voice slicing through the quiet with that same venomous edge she always reserved for me. Oh, for heaven's sake, Clara, are you really stooping to fake screenshots now? This is exactly what I meant earlier. You bring drama and distractions instead of solutions. My brother Hudson's construction firm has been bleeding money for 11 months because of bad decisions, and here you are playing games with your phone like a child who cannot face reality. She turned to the rest of the table, her tone sharpening further as she initiated the next attack. See what I mean? Clara has never been able to handle real family pressure without trying to deflect blame onto someone else. My father stood up abruptly from his chair, his face shifting from quiet anger to a clear, visible shock that hardened into firm resolve as he looked straight at my sister-in-law. Phoebe, stop right there. Those messages have your name on them, and this is not some deflection. This is you actively trying to damage Clara's reputation to force her hand. I will not sit here and watch you tear her down anymore. It was a stronger reaction than I had ever seen from him, and the way he remained standing showed he was not backing down this time. My mother finally spoke up too, her voice trembling but clear with a mix of unease and unexpected firmness. Lewis is right. Phoebe, this has crossed a line I did not even know was there. My sister-in-law ignored them both and kept her focus locked on me, leaning forward with fresh contempt. Do not listen to them, Clara. They are just feeling guilty because they know you have been the weak link all along. If you had been honest about whatever pathetic savings you actually have from those wellness side gigs, we would not need any of this drama. My brother Hudson employs 27 people who could lose everything while you hide in your little bubble. Liquidate whatever you can and transfer the $75,000, or admit you are willing to watch your own brother fail because you care more about pretending to be independent than being family. The words hit hard, but this time they did not land alone. Owen slid the full folder across the table before I could even nod, and Gregory Klein opened it to review the documents inside. My sister-in-law's eyes flicked to the papers, her smirk faltering for the first time, as Owen spoke calmly but with unmistakable authority. Actually, Clara's wellness studios are not side gigs. She owns 12 locations across the Omaha metro area under a holding company. They have grown steadily for 4 years, with 30% year-over-year increases in revenue. She could cover the bridge loan 10 times over without touching her personal accounts. But after the sabotage we have just seen documented here, there are going to be conditions. The room erupted in a different kind of silence. My brother Hudson finally looked up from his hands, his expression a mix of surprise and something close to regret. My sister-in-law's face flushed as she tried to regain control, her next words coming out sharper and more personal than ever. 12 studios. You have been lying to this family for years. Clara hiding money while pretending to be the struggling one. This is why I had to push you so hard. You have always thought you were better than the rest of us, keeping secrets and letting us worry about real problems. How dare you sit here and make us beg when you could have solved this months ago? I felt the raw sting of her accusation, but it also freed something inside me. I met her gaze directly for the first time without flinching. I kept it quiet because every time I tried to share anything about my work, you turned it into proof that I was unreliable or selfish. The rumors you spread to that influencer were not just words, Phoebe. They have already cost me 8 memberships today and damaged client trust that took 4 years to build. You did not just attack me in this room. You went after my entire business to force my hand. My father remained standing, his reaction now turning into a quiet but firm confrontation as he addressed my sister-in-law directly. Phoebe, you owe Clara an explanation for those messages and for the gossip at the country club. This is not how family helps each other. My mother nodded in agreement, her discomfort shifting into clear disappointment that I had rarely seen directed at my sister-in-law. Hazel whispered encouragement beside me, and Rachel Dunn sent one more text that I read aloud. The influencer just pulled the video after realizing the rumors were one-sided, but the damage is done. We have lost 3 more clients permanently. My sister-in-law tried one last sharp jab, her voice laced with resentment. Permanent damage. That is rich, coming from the woman who hid an entire empire while her brother struggled. If you had been upfront, instead of playing the victim, none of this would have happened. My brother Hudson and I have carried this family long enough. But the evidence in the folder and the screenshot had shifted the power, and even she could see the room turning. I took a deep breath and laid out my decision clearly. I will provide the $75,000 as a bridge loan to my brother Hudson's firm, but only with a written agreement that my sister-in-law Phoebe has no involvement in how it is managed and no further contact with my business or my team. And after this, I am setting firm boundaries. No more family meetings where I am attacked for not contributing enough. No more rumors. I choose my peace, even if that means stepping back from some of these gatherings. My brother Hudson nodded slowly, accepting the terms with visible relief, mixed with sadness. My sister-in-law stood up abruptly, her face tight with frustration as she gathered her things. Fine. Take your boundaries and your secrets, Clara, but do not expect us to pretend everything is fine after you hid all this. She left the room without another word, the door closing behind her with a final click that echoed like the end of something bigger than just this meeting. In the weeks that followed, I transferred the funds through my accountants with clear legal protections in place. My brother Hudson's firm stabilized enough to keep the 27 employees on payroll, and he even started showing interest in learning more about my wellness business operations. My mother and my father reached out separately, both expressing regret for not speaking up sooner, but the conversations felt strained. The irreversible loss came in the quiet ways the family dynamic had shifted forever. My sister-in-law refused any further contact after that day, and my brother chose to stand by her, which meant holiday gatherings and casual calls became awkward or non-existent. Some clients never returned to my studios after the rumor scandal, a permanent dent in the reputation I had built so carefully in secret. I kept the businesses running strong, even expanded to one more location 6 months later. But the cost of that afternoon in the lawyer's office lingered. I had won the immediate battle and protected what I had built. Yet I lost the easy family connection I had once hoped could exist without conditions. Choosing myself meant accepting that some relationships would never heal the same way, and that the freedom came with a kind of loneliness I had not fully anticipated. Still waking up each morning, knowing I no longer had to hide or prove my worth, felt like the right trade. My best friend, Hazel Reed, and my operations manager, Owen Hayes, became even closer allies, through it all reminding me that chosen family can fill some of the gaps left behind. Rachel Dunn handled the studio recovery with steady professionalism, and together we turned the incident into a stronger privacy policy for the entire chain. The lesson I carry with me now is that protecting your own success sometimes requires drawing lines that hurt, but those lines are what let you breathe freely for the first time. Thank you for listening to my story. If you have ever had to set hard boundaries with family that came at a real emotional cost, what helped you move forward? Share in the comments. I read everyone.